said a remarkable thing to me when you came first to see me. You said that you wanted me to put together a show, an exhibition of my choice. And that was a wonderful invitation, and I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you paintings that you in America have already collected of mine. The war years they're very, very hard to develop something like the ability to, the peaceful feeling you need to concentrate on something like making paintings. The 40s and 50s really were spent at 2 art schools and in trying to find my feet, which I found extremely difficult. And it's hard for people to imagine now, but the art school I went to, Goldsmiths, was reassembling after the war. I was lucky to get a place at all because I came from an ordinary school. So to recollect that kind of ability to focus and learn and apply yourself was new and welcome and wonderful at last to be able to do that.
Bridget, can you tell me about the first time that you came to the United States?
Well, it was a first trip, so it was something that I looked forward to with great anticipation. And at that time, we all wanted to go to New York. We got through the austerity period of 15 years, just after the war, and beginning to feel, that life was opening out again. After I met Bill Seitz twice, he came twice to the studio to talk about this exhibition, and what he was discovering, as I realized later, was that this movement, this interest in how we saw and how it shaped what you did, such a big, history, such a big hold on the sensibility, present sensibility, weathered its way through 2 world wars. Nature was, human nature, as well as nature as we think of it now, was a new subject matter. What he wanted to do was to put on a show which actually showed use of perception in figurative painting and the use of perception in abstract painting in the same exhibition. Now, this was an exact reflection, if you like, or parallel to my own experience, because I had been a figurative painter, and it was through looking and using my sight, powers of observation, and observing, responding like the Impressionists and the Post-Impressionists had to what we saw, and relating that to what went onto canvas, that in fact, switching it round then enabled me to put on things onto canvas which one could look at. So it was like a mirror position. And I saw in some of these shop windows versions of my paintings on dresses. And I must admit, my heart sank. I haven't even been able to show my work. They've decided what they want to do with me before they've even seen it. I think there was also, though, there's a lot that I didn't understand. I didn't really realize sufficiently that this wasn't just commercial. It was actually, there was a great affection in it, and it was appreciative. gone were big subjects, the important subjects, the subjects which carried weighty messages, whether they were religious, mythological, or political, or whatever. It was really a version of what we have now, the everyday, what we can see. This matters to us. Like you and I have both got at the bottom of this glass
Yes.
a little spectrum which we can see. Absolutely unbelievable. Look. And it's all the time with us.
Absolutely.
Rothko made a huge impression.
On you?
Yes, and on so many people in England.
Why?
Well, he was the only one of the abstract expressionist painters to use colour, and in a way that we could understand. And later on, I discovered, when I was fortunate enough to meet him, that in fact he had started off or been very much influenced by Bonnard.
Many people have remarked to me that they are surprised at the end of what is the first floor of this exhibition to happen upon small works by Delacroix and by Constable. And even more thrilling for many has been the fact that you talk about these works relative to your own. What brought you into that conversation?
Constable's love of looking at nature, and that was also my growing up when I was a child. We lived in such a small place that out of doors was the only place to be, and out of doors was beautiful and wonderful. And Constable actually was also happiest out of doors. How light fell on the countryside, on the shadows it cast, and the sparkle and glitter of light. All these things which you see in the sprays of the sea and the transparency of the waters when you look down, the different depths. They're almost painted already. Delacroix was one of the Romantic painters, very political subject matter, huge style, was pain, anguish. He had another side. He was interested in how people lived, and he went to Morocco, where the light was different, the costumes, the colour was different, what people wore was different, it was a different way of life. And that made him more interested in a present situation, I think. Times of day, types of weather, aspects, all these things that later on, of course, the Impressionists picked up exactly, Monet in particular, getting, a certain minute and a certain period and going to it again and again and again.
Are you suggesting then that Delacroix saw Constable and then relays this to those who succeed him in terms of French painting?
Yes, I am. I think that is what happened. How you looked at the painting was a sort of an immediate connection to how the artist had put things together for you to look at. So it was a very interesting cycle.
There is this sense that in each of your paintings from that early period, that there is an individual response to them, that each viewer comes to a painting and has an experience that is wholly dependent upon their ability to do just what you've described.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.